How's it going, bros? Hyper here, bringing you the Dark Arbiter Unholy guide. It's really early in the patch, so this will just be an intro guide to get you started. I will release a more detailed video once TOS releases and people start getting their set bonuses. Also, since the patch has only been live a few days, some of this info might become outdated really quick because people are still figuring out what is best for this spec. My info is mostly based on logs, personal experience, and some discussion with other DKs. As usual, in this video, I will show you what talents, gems, enchants, relics, legendaries, trinkets, and consumables you should use, as well as a basic look at the rotation to get you started. First of all, let's look at the talents. I will show you the single target build and then a more AoE/dungeon oriented build. In the first row, you want to go Ebb and Fever, since Variant Plague tends to be our hardest hitting spell. In the second row, go for Pestilent Pustules, which becomes very good talent since people don't use the belt anymore. You will generate a few extra runes so you're not rune starved as often. In the third row, I suggest going for Unholy Frenzy. The changes to this talent, which increase its duration and made the timer stack, allows you to keep it up nearly 100% of the time. In the fourth and fifth row doesn't really matter too much, but as a default I would go for Sludge Belcher for extra utility and Spell Eater to empower your AMS. In the sixth row, Shadow Infusion is the best talent at the moment. You should aim to maximize your Dark Transformation uptime. In the last row, this is what your entire build revolves around, Dark Arbiter. The recent patch buffed it to last 20 seconds instead of 15, but hits for a slightly less amount. Those extra 5 seconds allow for a large chunk of damage to be output, since the last few attacks of the Arbiter are very powerful if you keep buffing her. For a more AoE and dungeon oriented build, I suggest going with Bursting Swords, Pestilent Pustules, Clawing Shadows, Infected Claws, and Defile. This build should maximize your festering wound generation, which tends to be your main source of damage in AoE situations. For stats, as an Unholy DK, your main secondary stat will be Mastery. Dark Arbiter does scale with haste as well, so there is a soft cap where she gets an extra attack in. However, that value is generally too high to worry about, so I might just talk about it in the future advanced guide. After Mastery, haste is your next best stat. And after that, crit and verse are almost equal value depending on how much of each you have. This also goes for enchants and gems. You want to have one 200 strength gem and the rest should just go for Mastery. Your rings should be enchanted with Mastery and your cloak with Strength. For relics, your best option will be the ones that give the Plague Bearer trait, followed by Deadliest Coil and Darkest Crusade. I will post a detailed eye-level breakdown on relics as soon as the sims for the patch are published. The trinket that in my opinion is key to this build is Convergence of Fates. With this, you will be able to get your Dark Arbiter down to about a 1 minute cooldown, which on single target fights has a huge impact on your damage. Other trinkets that are still very good for Unholy are the Foci, Memento, and Mastery stat sticks. However, if you choose to use the Legendary trinket, you only need to worry about having Convergence. As for Legendaries, it still seems to be up in the air, since most people are still experimenting with which combination is best. For AoE build, it seems like Death March and Kil'jaeden's Burning Wish is the best. However, for single target, it seems like there are more options. The shoulders seem to be best in slot. They synergize very well with Dark Arbiter and our opening burst. The second best legendary is very debatable at the moment, but using the new chest, the bracers, Soul of Death Lord, or even the trinket seem to be viable options. Hopefully, over the next few weeks, we will see which legendary is the second best, and I will make sure to clarify that in a future video. For consumables, I still suggest using the basics: Strength Flask, Main Stat Feast, Augment Rune, and Potion of Prolonged Power. I will only show you the single target rotation here, since most of you should be familiar with the Defiled and Clawing Shadows build. Same as every Unholy build, you want to pop your Army of the Dead about 8 seconds before the pull, but this depends on your rune regen speed. If you are using the legendary shoulders, then make sure you cast Apocalypse and Dark Arbiter before casting Dark Transformation. If you're not using the shoulders, then you can cast Dark Transformation with the pre-pot at 1 second. After this, you want to Outbreak and get 2 Festering Strikes in. Depending on your RNG, you might need to get a third, and then use Apocalypse. Right after Apocalypse, you can cast Dark Arbiter and start spamming those death coils. Hopefully you got a few sudden doom procs because even though Death Coil is free, it will still buff your Arbiter. When you run out of runic power, just Festering Strike or Scourge Strike to build more RP, depending on how many wounds you have on your target. Your goal is to maximize the number of Death Coils you cast while Dark Arbiter is active. After their Dark Arbiter disappears, the rotation becomes pretty simple. Keep Dark Transformation on cooldown and maintain Virulent Plague on your target. Build wounds with Festering Strikes and burst them with Scourge Strike, while making sure they use up all your Sudden Doom procs and dump RP on Death Coils. If you're looking to maximize your damage in this portion of the rotation, also keep an eye on Scourge of the World procs, because when it's active, you want to cast as many Scourge Strikes on your target as you can. When your Dark Arbiter is about 10 to 15 seconds away from coming off cooldown, you should look at pooling your Runic Power and Sudden Doom procs. And if you're using the shoulders, make sure you have Dark Transformation ready as well. From here, the rotation is rinse and repeat, and like I said, with Convergence of Fates, your Dark Arbiter will be around a minute to a minute and a half cooldown, depending on how many times it procs. Please let me know what you guys think of this new meta build in the comments below. Hopefully things settle down once Tomb of Sargeras opens, and I will release an updated, more advanced guide within a few weeks. Thank you so much for watching, please like and subscribe.